Dow now down 28 points. The NASDAQ up 4. News every half hour and when it breaks. I'm Mark Gaffney on the new Bulldog 103.7, North Georgia's news, sports, and information station.
Now, more of Martha Zoller on the new Bulldog 103.7, North Georgia's news, sports, and information station.
Thanks so much for being with us today on the Martha Zoller Show, 877-333-6620. I always like to talk to local authors, local artists, people from the region that are doing different things. And my friend Liz Carter sent out a press release about a week ago saying that her husband had just had a book published, and I thought it would be a perfect thing to talk about. And E.G. Carter is here with me right now. The book is called Carlusia, The Passing of the Guard. And E.G., thanks so much for being with me today.
Thanks, Martha, for having me on your show. And let me first say, go Dogs. Big fan. My blood runs black and red.
That's right, and it is a great, it's always a good day to be a Georgia Bulldog. I always joke about how as I drive into Athens for whatever different things that I do, that I always get younger and more beautiful as I get closer to Athens. It's always like going home. It's great. But listen, so tell me about Carlusia. What made you decide to write it?
Well, I wanted to show my sons, and I wanted to show kids, especially, that they could do anything they set their mind to. I don't know if you know about this or not, and the people on the phone probably don't know, but I have dyslexia. And trying to write a book as a dyslexic is sort of, I kind of equate it to being on a swim team with cinder blocks around your ankles.
Yeah.
So I wanted to make sure that my sons, especially, and the kids out there that I'm writing this book for, and it's really a teen book, it's a teen fantasy book, but I wanted everybody, even the adults that are reading it, to realize they can do whatever they set their mind to. If I can write a book as a dyslexic and have people read it and like it and have good reviews and hopefully go down the path of more books, it's a series, first book in a series of 4. So if I can do that, you can put your mind to anything you can do and overcome any kind of challenges you have.
So tell me about your dyslexia. When did you discover you were dyslexic?
So I played football my whole life, about 17 years, so I got a lot of punts, as you probably know, from teachers. They didn't really hold you accountable. I didn't learn really about it until I was in college. A great teacher named Dr. Smith, she found out through some tests while I was at junior college playing football that I had dyslexia, and she just taught me a different way to learn.
Now, for you, is it that you transcribe, that letters flip and numbers flip? Because I know for different dyslexics, there's different patterns to it almost.
Right. So the dyslexia has a broad range of the meaning of the word. It's really a learning disability. So some people flip letters. Some people can't really spell. I have a hard time spelling. But some people can't get what's in their mind down on paper right when they're writing. And a lot of people confuse it with being stupid, and that's not true. That's a big misnomer. Most dyslexics are very intelligent people, and they go to strive and have careers. They just typically gravitate towards science and math instead of the English language.
Well, you know, Stephen Cannell, who, did the A-Team and, all kinds of things like that, he's dyslexic.
Yeah.
And over the last number of years, he's been writing novels. And, he talks to me when he comes to town about the process that he goes through. I mean, that basically he has a 4-day process for each chapter. He writes a chapter, sends it to his secretary to edit it. Then the next day he edits and writes the next chapter, and it kind of is in a cycle. And every 4 days a chapter falls off. He's very disciplined about it.
Yeah, I'm processed like that too. I'm fortunate to have a wonderful wife, Liz Carter. I came home and told her I was going to write a book, and she turned around to me and said, "Do you realize how difficult this is going to be?" And I said, "Yeah, I do." And she said, "Well, then let's do it. You give me an outline, and you write down your thoughts, and we'll make it happen." So I write the book, and I try to write at least 2 hours a day, and I have a similar process. I'll write it, and then I'll reread it, and I'll reread it. I'd read it about 4 or 5 times, and then I'll let Liz read it, and then I'll let my sons read it. So I want to bounce from the teen mind. And then we have other editors that we have go through and try to, from a professional standpoint, make sure that it's grammatically correct or how the flow it should be in the way that people read today. But we have a similar process, and I have a lot of people that support me, and
little bit about the story.
Well, it's about a 10-year-old boy named Eddie Casket, and on his grandfather's deathbed, he finds out that all these wild stories his grandfather has been telling him his whole life are actually true, and that he's left something in his barn for him. So Eddie searches his barn and has a hard time following some signs that his grandfather left for him, but he finds a bracelet that actually opens portals in his neighborhood. And the portals lead to Carlucia. So when Eddie goes to Carlucia, he actually turns 16. So he has to deal with the coming of age. And he's realized he's part of a whole legacy of guardians from his family that have protected the Carlucians and have fought an evil warlord named Lorazard. So along the way, he has these friends that he's moved into a neighborhood he meets, Dan and Scotty, and not because they wanted to go, accidentally Eddie is allowed to pull them in to Carlucia with him. So I tried to write the book as a team type of environment, a loyalty type environment, and also you can't lie to your parents. So that's a very fine line when you're actually leaving your neighborhood as a 10-year-old boy and going to another world trying to solve problems and to defeat a warlord, and then keep your mother from not putting your face on a milk carton because you're missing.
Well, and you always sort of have to have these, with these teen adventures, you've got to have kind of an absent parent, right? I mean, or they have to go to some other world where the parents aren't there, because the parents would not let you stay out all night.
Well, it's true, and my mom has read some of my book, and she cracks me up because she says that I'm just putting on paper all the lies I've ever told her in my life of things that I did as a kid. I was an adventurous kid, and I love telling stories, and I tried to make this an adventure like it was part of a normal kid's life, right? How do you stay away from your mom? So there's a time continuum. There's a young sister that tries to have to help them while they're gone, and so I wanted to make sure that even though Eddie, Dan, and Scotty are doing some good things in Carlucia, and they're fighting an evil warlord, and they're learning how to cope with being 16 while they're in Carlucia and then turning back 10 when they come back home, that they never lie to their parents, and they're trying to make this normal life in Drayton Woods seem normal, and then they're doing these extraordinary things in Carlucia.
Well, it sounds like a great book. Now, there's a website, right, where the people can go to?
www.carlucia.com. You can order it there, and I can autograph a book for you if you'd like and send it to you, or you can get it at Amazon, or you can get it at Barnes & Noble. It's on the Kindle and the Nook, soon to be on the Sony e-reader and iBook.
Now, how did you manage all of that? Did you have a regular publisher, or did you self-publish?
So I got picked up by an agent. That was a hard process, too. I think I got about 26 rejection letters, and I got picked up by an agent about 2 years ago. And my agent got it at one of the top 5 publishers.
Great.
But at the time, and this was back in 2010, the word back to me through my agent was they wanted to keep my book, but they didn't want to publish it because they weren't publishing new authors because of the risk and the economy.
Right.
So I left it there. As you know, Liz ran for Congress in 2010, so that was a really tough year for us. So I just left it there and let it sit and see if they would come around and publish it, but they didn't. And so Liz and I made a decision to self-publish it at the beginning of this year, and we did, and I owe a lot to Liz. She's actually done a great job setting up the website. We got it published through iUniverse, and they did a fantastic job on the book themselves, but it was a little bit less on the marketing side. So Liz took over with that, created a website for me that's very interactive. You can order the book. She's got a blog out there that she's working with me too, and then she was able to put it on Amazon and Kindle and get it there pretty quick. I mean, all the ebooks are pretty quickly done by Liz. She's formatted it so it could be populated up to the websites relatively easy. So she's a marketing genius. I'm very fortunate to have that kind of support from her.
Well, that sounds great, too, and she is an amazing woman. I mean, there's no doubt about that, and you need to have that kind of support for things to work. And now, how many boys do you have?
I have 2.
Oh,
One's 16, and one is going to be 19 this year, or he already is 19. He's at Georgia Southern.
That sounds great. That sounds really, really good.
I told him he's got to change, though, so he can only stay at Southern for a short time, then he has to transfer to Georgia. I don't know what his problem is.
I know. I can agree with that. That is good. Okay, E.G. Carter, the book is Carlusia. Thank you so much for being with me today.
Thank you so much, too, Martha. I appreciate your help.
877-333-6620. It's the Martha Zoller Show.